Good afternoon, students, faculty, and guests, and welcome to the first in a series of St. Francis College highlighting women entrepreneurs. As Mary Guillermino said, and I want to thank her very much for introducing me, my name is Tina Panariello, an entrepreneur, and I am so excited to be here to share my story with you. But before I get started, there are a few women I must thank, for without them I would not be here. First, Professor Mary Guillermino, Center for Entrepreneurship, Professor Athena Devlin, Co-Director of Women's Study Program, Professor Wendy Galgan, Co-Director Women's Studies Center, and Director of Athletics, Irma Garcia. I would like to open with a quote. You know what they say about plans. Man plans and God laughs. Now, I'm sure you're trying to figure out that quote. Or maybe some of you have heard of it. When I first heard of it, I didn't understand it. Well, now I know a little bit more about the quote, at least in my case, or maybe in your case as well. I have made plans, but for some reason, they never seem to work out the way I planned them. I wanted to write a book 28 years ago, but God chose another plan for me. Sometimes it is sooner than later that plans happen. Only He has the correct timetable. But it doesn't mean we stop making plans for what we want. We still have stepping stones to climb, and before we get there, some stones go forward, and sometimes we have to walk on the stones that are going backwards, a few steps, before we continue to go forward again. I am sure you heard of the words, try it. Well, in my life, trying it isn't the answer. I just do it. By a small show of hands, how many of you have watched the opening ceremonies of the Olympics in Sochi? Very good. That's great. The theme of the Olympics opening ceremony was dreams. Well, if you remember what I said at the beginning, I dream a lot. And they showed you a little girl holding a balloon, floating in the air, showing you what she would dream about. I was so touched by that. And now, because I did all that dreaming, I am an entrepreneur. From my experience and other entrepreneurs I have read about or heard of it, all started with a dream, whether it be a big dream, a small dream, as long as it is a dream. Well, back to the Olympics. While they were showing part of the city, they went into a park with one of the Russian Olympic tennis players, where she would go to practice. Well, there was a wall that she would practice against, and on the wall it said in great big letters, just do it. It was like an omen to me, for I say those words all the time. It is like a mantra. I don't try to do something, I just do it. I'm a resident from Bensonhurst who knows that quote I mentioned before very well. My plans and God laughs. I just wanted to be an actress and set out to realize my dream, but instead, I embarked on a life journey that took me from stage to home business owner to a struggling mom to an acclaimed actress. Now, I'm beginning a new life as an author and mentor, telling my personal story of career evaluation and the trials and tribulations of living life, holding businesses in New York City, and how my obsessed hobby turned me into a pro by mere happenstance. I was 11 years old when my mother decided she wanted to move from Manhattan. I lived exactly 4 blocks away from the East River, and to move to Brooklyn in the Marlborough Projects. I attended Lafayette High School and eventually became an executive secretary. That wasn't my plan. I wanted to be a surgeon. Could you believe me, a surgeon? Oh, but remember the quote I mentioned at the beginning? Well, now I am called a nail doctor. 5 years after graduation, I got married, and 2 years into my marriage, I wanted to attend an acting school. Not a regular acting school, the prestigious American Academy of Dramatic Arts. After discussing this with a fellow worker who was going to audition for the Academy, he suggested I audition as well. I don't know about that, really. I am sure you're thinking this came out of left field. I performed while I was growing up, and when I was in high school, I performed as well. My husband worked nights, and I days. And when I got home that night, I was very lucky he was still home. So I had the opportunity to present this idea to him. He was in the bedroom, just finishing getting dressed for work. I threw him on the bed. I sat on him, and I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, I want to go to acting school. I held my breath, waiting for the answer. Okay, you work, you make money, so go. I was so happy, I almost made him late for work from hugging and kissing him so much. I now have a 2-year degree from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I'm so proud of it. My career in acting sparked after landing the lead role in Cabaret at the Staten Island Community College, which is now called CSI. I went into acting full-time, auditioning for roles on and off Broadway. This is when I first became an entrepreneur. I owned, worked, made the scenery, and promoted my own children's theater group with actors I met belonging to the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists when we would have our dinners, so I networked. I got together with them, and we put a theater group together called, I'm going to let you know the name, Carousel Players. It worked out fine from the beginning, but there were little problems going on. Actors are very temperamental, and being an actor myself, I can attest to that. But we all are temperamental at times, I'm sure. So I dissolved the theater group. I joined the Narrows Community Theater, which is now called NCT, in Brooklyn, during which time I became pregnant with my son, Wayne. Getting into the nail industry was something that happened naturally. When my son was young, my husband and I owned a home jewelry business. I spent my spare time dabbling with the small canvas art of painting nails, and eventually, my jewelry customers and mothers at my son's school noticed my art on my own fingertips and wanted it for themselves. I started my business with $2 worth of nail polish, 1 cuticle nipper, 1 cuticle pusher, some nail polish remover, and my home. I started with several customers coming to my home twice a week, or I drove to their homes, either in Staten Island, Long Island, the Bronx, other parts of Brooklyn. It was great, but I never worked on Sundays. Holiday, no working. This went on for several years. I was frightened at the thought of the next step, even though I dreamt of it, to open my own nail salon, but it began to play on my mind. What did I know about opening a business? It wasn't like any other business, so I thought. But I decided, it was like, excuse me, I didn't look at myself as an entrepreneur. Come to think of it, back then, I never heard that word. I didn't know what an entrepreneur was. I decided I did not want to be broke or just get by anymore. I decided to change my life. I call it making a decision, or law of decision. There's a great power in decisions. When you make a solid decision, it is always good to make that. Then, when you make that decision, you follow it by action. Action leads to success. When you sit with indecision, it brings about very bad things and invites enemies into your life, into your thinking pattern. Procrastination, fear, non-belief, and excuses on why not to do something. This is why action is important. When you finally make a decision, everything begins to click. A funnel of favor begins. Purpose becomes clear, and self-motivation mobilizes you from the inside out. Excitement runs wild within you as you think of all the possibilities you're about to experience. That is what happened when I found a for rent sign on a window on 20th Avenue, not far away from where I lived. I didn't wait for anything to be perfect or to have all the information I needed. I went into action right then and there. In the now, I called the number on the for rent sign. set up an appointment with the landlord to meet at the store along with my friend and a real estate broker who was also a friend. When I walked in, I almost died. My point of view, it was disgusting, dirty and dark. 4 walls, nothing else in there, one small closet, a small, ugly bathroom. Oh my God, am I crazy? What am I thinking? I can't do this. Okay, most importantly, I need money to do this. So I approached my parents and asked them for backing. The best part, I was 7 blocks away from my home, and I could be there in 5 minutes if my son Wayne needed me. Okay. I was ready to design a nail salon and proceeded to draw up the blueprints. Yes, I drew the blueprints. I wanted my clients to feel comfortable, like being in a living room or on the back or front porch. There were definitely some obstacles I faced. I needed a contractor, interior decorator, a designer. Only enough to put together, that's all the money I had just to put the store together. But I was very lucky. My brother was a contractor. And also an entrepreneur. So I asked for help along with my friend Frank and Frank's Uncle Richie, letting them know I could not pay them. But that was one of my favors I mentioned before. I was also lucky that I had taken a course at Brooklyn College in interior decorating and designing. I went to all the antique stores and picked out the furniture, and my brother refurbished everything. I picked out my own wallpaper, manicuring tables, everything I needed, and the ambiance I was looking for. 3.5 months later, Nail Artistry by Tina was born, one of 3 salons in my area that were there when I opened in 1983. My services included, and still does, wraps, linen, silk, fiberglass, gel and dipping powder, hand-painted nail art and designs, manicures, pedicures, spa pedicures, waxing, and makeup. Yes, I'm also a makeup artist. I do not use any form of acrylic or curing gels or even a drill. I do know how, but I don't like it. I want my customers' nails to be healthy at all times. Besides, I'm also asthmatic. I am the only salon that is still open in my area since the mid-1980s. They've all closed since. I opened with 30 clients, and in 4 years, I had 250 clients. I gave my clients what they wanted. There is something called honoring your prospects. When you are an entrepreneur, you practice the law of honoring, a phase that I just learned since I've been doing this for 30 some odd years, with all of your potential customers, clients, or prospects. You get them to talk about themselves and listening. It means honoring everything around you. People you meet in department stores, Walmart, even McDonald's, and sometimes without you even knowing it, you may run into a millionaire, and I can attest to that because one of my customers was a millionaire. When you start your conversation, you ask them about their family, occupation, reaction, and a message, as well as asking about their strengths, interests, goals, and needs. When you make initial contact with your customer, honor them by making them special or important. I want to tell you a little story. One day I was sitting at my manicuring table. An elderly woman came in, very, very upset, almost in tears. I asked her what was wrong. She was trying to get nails done to go to her granddaughter's wedding and started to say that her doctor didn't want her to put nails on because the products out there were not healthy. So after she finished and I had a little lump in my throat, I looked at her and I said, okay, I could put nails on you, and it's called a California tip. It's put on with glue, it's shaped and polished. You could remove them the next day. So that's what we did, and she was a very, very happy person. That is what it is to honor your customers. When you become an entrepreneur, you control the conversation with your future customer, clients, or prospects. When you control the conversation by asking those questions, they will help you succeed. I don't use acrylics or a drill or even curing gels, but that's because I, as a nail technician and artist, prefer to do that. My artwork is all hand painted. They are expecting me to sell them my service, but I don't. They decide they want me to come to my salon. Selling causes people to guard their wallets. Interviewing them causes to impress you and tell you why they need you versus you having to tell them why they need you. This was all done by word of mouth. There was no internet, Android phones, iPads, laptops, or any social media. But my nails were always designed, and many women always asked me who did them. And I would hand them a business card. I advertised in the Marketeer once, spending $700, and received one client. I have not used printed media to advertise since then. As I said before, I had 30 I started with and ended with 250. I just want to read one testimonial to you. I have known Tina Panariello for almost 35 years. She started coming to my house in Staten Island, New York, and had many nails done every 2 weeks. After Tina opened a salon in Brooklyn, I continue going to her salon every 2 weeks. I still get many compliments on my nail art. People do not believe that is done freehand. They think it is a decal because it's too perfect. I look forward to many years ahead of having my nails done by Tina and continuing our friendship. Many people think if you can find the right business, then I will be successful. You do not have to find the right business. You just have to find the right people. If you are a sports person, like say basketball, what you have learned in that sport is used in business, such as how you formulate a winning team and how everyone on the team is very important. Without the team, you do not win. Without the support of my team, my employees, I would have not advanced so quickly. I was the only salon that paid employees by the hour, not by commission. Gave them paid vacations and Christmas bonuses. And why not? I believed in giving back. But all was not good. It wasn't smooth sailing anymore. The rule of thumb, when you open a business the first 5 years, and it is crucial. Well, my crucial years were 1991 to 1992. 8 years after I opened, I was affected by the market crash, and it was bad. It hit me in 1991. I hit a financial roadblock. My clients or their husbands lost their jobs, were demoted, or they moved. I was asked to move out of my home. My father passed away. I was distraught. I didn't know where to turn or who to turn to. I was not about to give nail artistry by Tina up, but it was starting to look that way. I started to learn what is called teachability. It is the key to long-lasting success as an entrepreneur. It means being hungry enough to pursue success, being willing to learn from masters, putting aside your ego for success. When you hit a brick wall in your journey, remember to ask for help. In order to keep my head above water, I got a job as a receptionist in a ticket agency in Manhattan. I worked there by day and I worked nail artistry by night. I wanted to knock down that brick wall. Again, I hit another roadblock. I had major surgery and I couldn't work my job in Manhattan, and I only worked a couple of hours at nail artistry. Successful entrepreneurs have a no excuse mindset. There has to be a solution there. There has to be a way. Whether you dig under it, around it, over it, an entrepreneur is not stumped. As you could see, I wasn't. Entrepreneurs think in terms of what can be done versus what cannot. Everyone stumbles, but entrepreneurs typically will not quit no matter what. Entrepreneurs are driven, and drive is not necessarily just desire, vision, hope, or someday I'll get there. Entrepreneurs have very strong initiative. Drive does not need to be motivated and told what to do, and drive is not waiting for what is convenient. How do I know that? My drive took me to writing my autobiography, Polished, filing away at life's truths. This happened by mere happenstance, believe it or not. I was sitting in front of a computer. I was looking to write an art book. I wrote an email to one of the publishers, Tape Publishing, and all I wrote in there was, I am a World International Nail Art Champion and a Nail International Art Champion. I have won 13 trophies that I have under my belt. I would like to write an art book. Well, they received my email. They sent me another email and said, please call me. I did. No answer, left a message. They called me back on Monday. We were on the phone for 15 minutes. I was so excited. The woman on the other end, Amanda Soderberg, an editor, said, I have never heard anybody talk about anything so much as you. Send me something. I said, Amanda, I have nothing to send you. I have not written a book. I don't know what you want. Put something together for me. So I did. My girlfriend came in from Wyoming. We sat down in my den, put a little blurb together, sent in the pictures, and I sent it out UPS. A week goes by during the Passover and Lenten holiday. Monday, as I was paying for my storage, I get a phone call. It's Amanda Soderberg. Tina? Yes, how are you, Amanda? I'm fine. I would like to offer you a contract. I said, okay. And I started to cry like I'm doing right now. I said, all right, tell me more. Well, we don't want you to write an art book. And I didn't say a word. We want you to write your life story. Your life story is so important to get out there. It is so interesting to see what you have been through. So many people would like to know that and try to get their own business. And I said, okay. She says, I'm sending you 2 contracts. One is the publisher, one is the publicist. She said, read it over and send it back to me in a month. And I did. My aunts gave me the money that I needed because a publicist you must pay for. I checked it out. It's $20,000 or more for a publicist. My investment was only $4,000. It was released. It took me 2 years to write it. So it started in Lenten season and Passover. 2 years later, during the same exact time, my book was sent back to be put together. And it was released July 2nd, 2013. So it's only 7 months old yesterday. Now, I just want to let you know and show you something. I did not do the cover of my book. They made this up. And what it is, it actually depicts my life. If you look at the bottom when you go outside, you will see there's a little valley going through here. That is what I crossed. Then you have, like over here, water. I had to go through that as well to get where I am. Then you get to the mountains. Well, I'm on the mountains now, where I want to be. And if you look on it, it looks like a little person walking across. Well, I'm still walking across those mountains, and I'm still growing. And I hope I could be doing this for everybody that I meet, because I tell everybody about it. I am so, so happy to be here. I am so grateful for the ladies for asking me to come. And I will be very happy to answer any questions you may have. And when you purchase my book, I will be very happy to sign it and autograph it and do anything you want, answer any questions you want. And if you'd like to contact me, I gave you a small business card that has my email address, and I would be glad to answer any other questions. Again, thank you everyone for coming. My nail salon is in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, on 86th Street between Bay 34th and Bay 35th. I see myself speaking to other students in other colleges. I'm going, the whole month of March is already booked, and I will be speaking at a lot of high schools within the Brooklyn district. And a lot of high schools are offering entrepreneurship groups. They're doing it already. So I'm going to New Utrecht High School, and I'm spending the whole day there to speak to the entrepreneur classes. I'll be going to South Brooklyn Community High School for their career day. I'm going to Bushwick High School to speak there. And eventually, what I plan to do, I may not write another book, or maybe I will, about what I've done, but I feel that I have something to offer to everybody. A lot of people think it's easy, and I know it isn't. A lot of people look up to actors and models, and they think they made it easy. It isn't easy, but if you want it badly enough, you're going to do it. If you fall down, brush yourself off and just keep going. And I have hit more roadblocks that I have not mentioned here, because there's not enough time. but it is in my book. And there were many. I went through a lot of deaths in my family. I've lost my entire family. There's only me. And I'm still here. I'm sorry. And this is what I've always wanted to do since I was little. And I've always talked to people. I never stop. I went into McDonald's the other day and some woman asked me, I saw her nails. First thing, I definitely do what I was talking about. I'll say, who did your nails? Where are you from? Where did you get them done? And then she'll see mine and go, oh, who did your nails? And I would tell her. And she took my car, and that's how it goes. That's how you build it. And then as you walk along, I run into young people. They're talking about things they're doing, and I'll ask them. I won't bring up my business, but I'll say, what are you doing? This is a part-time job. What are you getting involved in? And they'll tell me, and I'll promote them. I'll say to them, go after what you want. My acting career was 7 years. I did it as long as I wanted to. I loved it, but I wanted more. So this is what I went after, and I enjoy it. Maybe it's a little nerve-wracking or something at the beginning, but as I learned in acting, you walk out nervous, you're fine, and you walk off nervous. But the point is, you understood what I was talking about. You understood what I went through. And it's true. I just did it. I didn't think anything about anything. I didn't look into what you had to do, what you didn't have to do. I just went and called the landlord, and I just did it. And that was it. And I didn't mention, but I went to a school for 10 weeks to learn about a marketing program. And you're going to laugh, but after I read it, I spoke there at the school, and I said, if I knew then what I know now, I would have never opened my business. But I am so glad I didn't know, because if you really want it, it doesn't matter. You're going to do it. And as you're shaking your head, you're right. If you really want something, you're going to do it. You're going to want it. And that's the most important thing. And like I said, man plans and God laughs. He determines when it's going to happen. And that's why I'm here today. This is what he said was going to happen. And he made the day perfect for me. There wasn't a snowstorm. So everything worked out right. It was really great. Thank you so very much for coming. Okay, yeah. Everything I've done has always been alone for some reason. I didn't know what I was supposed to write. I asked someone to help me because I didn't even know how to use a computer. I'm glad you answered that. I had no idea, or asked that question. I had no idea. So someone came over to help me. She had a nervous breakdown in my living room. So now I'm left with a computer, didn't know what to do with it. I wrote everything first. On my way to Wyoming, I wrote. Coming back from Wyoming, I wrote everything in a book first. What I did was someone suggested I get a dragon. I'm sure you've heard of it. You plug it in and you speak into it. That was the best gift I've ever had. I still use it. So,
can you describe what that is?
Okay, a dragon is a microphone that you put over your ears. You connect it to the side of your computer. You load it up, and then you just speak into the microphone. And it's so cute. The computer starts typing your words. It's wonderful. So that's what I did. Now you wanted to know what I went through. It's very difficult to write when you're not sure what you're writing. So I wrote something, sent it back to the publisher. They wrote back and said, what happened to this, that? Okay, did you ever get married? Did you have a boyfriend? Do you have family? What trials did you go through? What's happened in your life? And I said, okay, you didn't tell me all that. I thought you just wanted about my nails. In 2 weeks, I had to put my life, good, bad, and ugly, into that book. And that was my deadline, 2 weeks, to get it back to them because they had a deadline. So my deadline was a year, but they didn't give me a year. They just said a year was going back and forth. So I sent it to them. A year later, they send you a copy of what it's going to look like. And I looked at it, and then they send it back. Then they send you copies of your book. You have 3 covers to pick from. And I chose the one that I told you about. And I was up every morning till 3 in the morning. I was on the phone with my girlfriend in Wyoming, reading everything to her, because you have to proofread. Nobody but her helped me. I did this all by myself. Picked out my pictures by myself, did everything. I think God has given me such a drive and made me realize that I can do it. I've never had a mentor till now. There is someone in this audience whom I love, and I look up to him and ask him for help. But I've never asked anybody else before. I just read, looked on the computer, not saying, well, what should I do, what shouldn't I? I just found a way. My customers are the ones I would talk to. If I needed help on the computer, okay, could you give me an idea, Pam, what to do with this? How do I send out a multi-email? What do I do about that? I am still being taught. That's why I talked about teachability. I'm willing to learn anything to grow. When I started this, my parents were already gone, and so was my brother. There was only me. And when I was little, I used to, well, not really little, but I'd say in my early 20s, I used to write a lot. I used to write poetry or prose, and I used to write about the unrest going on in the world, like Vietnam, because that was my era. And I would sit in my den and I'd write about it. I never spoke to anybody about this. It was all new to everyone to write a book. I'm serious. I believe just do it. That's why when people talk about it and say to me, well, I don't know how, what do I do? And I look at them, do you want it? Then do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't allow these demons to enter your mind. It doesn't work. And I'm going to tell you something. Every time I asked someone to help me, they were not there. That's why I never had anyone to ask. They were not there. Like the girl that came to help me on the computer. She's a forensic scientist. She is great at writing. She sat there crying. I don't know what she was going through. And I was left alone again. And I said, now what do I do? Now, I happened, without asking for help, mentioned to somebody. They said, oh, go get the dragon. So I went to Staples, and they told me about the dragon. They showed me how to use it. I took it home, and I said, it was a toy. I felt like I was working with a toy, and it was wonderful. My aunt, thank God, they helped me buy my laptop. I didn't own a laptop. I had a desktop. So they helped me get a computer. When they helped me out, I actually didn't ask them to help me in a way. I was with them one day, and I happened to say what I was doing and about the contract. And they said, how much was it? And I told them. They said, all right, let's think about it, or whatever. They're older aunts. These aunts are in their 80s, late 80s. And the next day I saw them again. They handed me an envelope with $5,000 in it. And I looked at them and they said, your mother, I'm sorry, would want us to help you. That is how I sent the cashier's check to the publisher, and I bought my computer. And throughout my life, I don't know how, I don't know what, but God has played a big plan in my life. And I'm serious. Today, talking to one person, talk to the next person, that is how I got here through Mary Guillermino. It was just talking. I talk, as you could tell. That is how I lived my life, and that's the only way I've learned.